Hey everyone! In today's video, we're taking a look at Game 12 of the World Chess Championship between defending world champion Ding Liren with the white pieces and Gukesh Dommaraju with black, who is ahead by 1 point after Game 11, in which he won with the white pieces. Now, let's see what went on in this game. Ding Liren started with c4, the English opening, controlling the center from the flank and potentially avoiding some transpositions while allowing some others. e6, a very flexible move. g3, looking to fianchetto the bishop. Bishops on the long diagonal are very powerful. d5, bishop g3, knight f6, knight f3, and now we're in a neo-Catalan. Now Gukesh pushes this pawn, so kind of cramps a little bit White's position. Now you can't go knight c3, for instance. Castles, knight c6, e3, looking to challenge this pawn, so that potentially you can free your position a little bit. Bishop e7, d3, looking to recapture over there with the bishop, which is what happens after the trade. Now there's 4 on 3 on each side of the board. You have 4 pawns on 3 pawns for white on the queen side, and you have 4 on 3 for black on the king side. Now e5 gets played, knight c3, developing the other knight, castles, rook e1, always a good idea to centralize your rooks, and also this is the semi-open file for white, because there is a pawn, a black pawn, and there are no white pawns, so that's when you have a semi-open file for one side. This is a semi-open file for black, because there's one white pawn and there are no black pawns. Now these moves get played, prophylactic moves, stopping pieces from jumping in there. Like in this case, for instance, this would be kind of annoying, attacking that pawn twice. Now this move gets played. Now b4 is impossible. It grabs some space on the queen side, and potentially in the future this might happen, which does happen in the game, and like creates a nice outpost for knight potentially. Now h3 gets played, bishop e6, developing another minor piece, king h2, like overly defending this and potentially preparing to move the knight over there, which happens eventually in the game. Rook b8, queen c2, connecting the rooks. Rook e8, always good to centralize your rooks. Now the knight goes over here with some pressure in black's position. Always good when you put a knight on the opponent's side of the board. Now this knight on the 5th rank, pretty powerful. Bishop f5, targeting this twice, so Ding defends and also centralizes the other rook. Knight goes over here, rerouting. Queen d2, I'm pinning, because otherwise then this might happen and it would be sort of annoying because there's a pin on this pawn to the queen, so you can't just push over here. Now this is possible, so pushes, and after this push, because of this king move, Ding is able to move the knight back and reroute it there. This pawn gets hit, Ding defends, bishop f6, targeting this a little bit, like putting some pressure on it, and also putting the bishop on a long diagonal and freeing the rook's vision so that this pawn gets extra protection. Queen goes over there, putting some more pressure on the pawn and still guarding this. A4 gets played, so grabbing some space on the queen side potentially. Now this might be an outpost for knight, for instance, for the black pieces. The pawns here, whenever you push a pawn, you weaken something. So these 2 pawn pushes weaken this square because pawns can't go backwards. So this can only be defended by pieces for white. So yeah, an outpost for a knight potentially in the future. The knight goes over here, further supports this pawn, and also reactivates a little bit because over here it was extremely passive. Now an offer of a trade of bishops, and Ding answers with an offer of a trade of his own. the dark squared bishop by black gets traded for a knight. So usually it's good to have the bishop pair that's in open positions especially. I mean it's always position dependent, but usually it's good to have them in open positions. So here, having these two very powerful bishops is good for Ding Liren. So that's a positional advantage that he gets there. Goes queen c3. Knight goes back here, rerouting. Now d5 gets played. This pawn supported by a pawn, supported by the rook, potentially could become a little bit of a problem. Queen goes here. Another pawn push. This move, and remember, beginners, that you can't take en passant here because it would be highly illegal. You can only take en passant when the move when if the pawn moved only one square, you would be able to take it with your other pawn. This pawn would never be able to take here. So if you go here, a pawn here or here might be able to take. So a pawn here or here, side by side with this one, would be able to take en passant, but not this one. So pawn pushes. Now this means that this is very weak, and this pawn is a dangerous passer. A passed pawn must be kept under lock and chain, is what Nimzovich said. It's like a criminal that has to be kept under lock and chain. Otherwise, bad stuff would happen. Gotta restrain the criminals. And so knight c2, and this hits over here the rook, and normally having a knight on the 7th rank is not as powerful as saying having a knight on the 6th rank because it loses a little bit of control. But in this case in particular, after the rook moves, then this is no longer guarded by it. So snatches a pawn, goes back, wants to keep that powerful bishop. Gukesh puts another piece in front of the dangerous passer. Knight goes over there offering a trade. Another trade happens. After this knight moves, this other pawn falls. So now Ding is up 2 pawns and has this one very, very close to promotion. Both pawns are isolated, so they don't have any neighbors, but they don't have any neighbors from the opposite side either. Like, I mean, there's just no one here to stop these pawns except black's pieces. So Gukesh grabs the open file here, at least like something, trying to desperately get some counterplay. The queen just moves. Knight tries to reroute in order to get like some sort of activity. Rook lands on the 7th rank. Always nice to have a rook on the 7th rank. It lands here with a tempo on the queen. Now the queen has to move. A tempo because, I mean, you're hitting the queen, so your opponent can't just do anything. Like, I mean, they must react, they must move the queen, and therefore you got the rook on the 7th rank, which is something that you already wanted to do, but at the same time you get to play another move afterwards because your opponent has to reply to this one, can't do something of their own. And this pawn gets pushed with that extra tempo. Now the pawn is attacking this. Rook moves, but at the same time hits white's queen. The queen moves, and finally Gukesh gets some nice activity for himself, but a little bit too late. Gets a rook on the 7th. I mean, that is the 2nd rank for white, but I mean, it is the 7th from black's perspective. Now this gets hit twice, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, you could take whatever you want, but this is coming, pinning the rook over here and hitting it like this. If you take, of course, there's an extra queen for white, and if you like snatch this pawn, for instance, then there's this, grabbing the full rook with check, putting the king over there, and the game is pretty much over. So f6 is played, looking to defend like that against the rook coming over here. Now this is not a threat, but however, there's another move which Gukesh probably overlooked, and after he gets played, boom, the game ends, and Ding Liren wins with the white pieces and gets back in the game. Now this tactic, like rook takes over here with check. If you choose to take the rook, then this is also a check. And no matter what you decide to do afterwards, this is the promotion of a new queen for white. And a world champion will win with an extra queen for sure. And if you choose not to take this, because I mean, this isn't checkers, like Gotham likes to say, you're not forced to take a piece. So let's say the king goes over there, same thing happens. You still lose this, and at the very least, white is getting another queen. I mean, this is still protected, so it's completely over for black. If they are not getting immediately mated, it's at the very least they're going to be down a lot of material, and that's it. So yeah, pretty great game by Ding Liren, the defending world champion, and now he's back in the game. Now they're tied at 6 points both, with 2 games remaining. Tomorrow is a rest day. Afterwards, we will be looking. The next day, we will be looking at round 13 of the event, and let's see if we are going to get if the score is going to remain tied. In which case, after round 14, we would have the tie breaks, and or if something else is going to happen, we will have a world champion crowned before then. So if you like this video, like and subscribe, please, because it really helps me and I really appreciate it. And I'll see you here in the next one. I'll be streaming both days of the event, the day 13 and the day 14. Uh, I usually start my stream a little bit later than when the games start, but I mean, near the end, I'm usually streaming. And of course, I'll be releasing videos for both of them. So take care, and I'll see you around, hopefully. Bye.